Alright everybody, thank you so much for your patience. The time has come for an NES game that you may not have heard of, but one that should be very interesting to see. It's time for Low G-Man, the Low Gravity Man, any percent with Blazing Raven.
Alright, so time will start when I first gain control of the character, and I'll give you a countdown for it. You ready there over there? All right, and 3, 2, 1, go. All right. So this first stage is going to decide how the rest of the run is going to be, because getting items in this game is, if you kill enemies without freezing them, they are guaranteed to give you one, and so far I have not gotten a single power-up item, so that's off to a good start. But and here we already are at the first boss. Yeah, we're going to be doing a lot of running. The spear is your primary weapon of attack. The gun you use will just freeze enemies. Sometimes we'll be freezing bosses, but we can stab upward and downward. Different power-ups we have. We have one which increases the number of shots we have. The one I just grabbed is a jump power-up. That'll come in handy. Each power-up has about maybe 3 or 4 levels. Got some medicine there. That's good if we take damage, which we just did. So this game, I think it came out around the time very late in the NES's life cycle. So, okay, what I just did there, that's actually a damage jump, I call it. I'm not sure if there's any real name for it. There's only like 4 runners on this leaderboard for this game. But if you take damage, you can actually hit the jump button while you're in midair and jump again. So that's good to like not lose height, especially in levels that have a lot of verticality to them, which we'll have a few of those. This is basically going to be the strategy for most bosses, is freezing them, then getting on top and stabbing them. The end of every, so we got like sectors or worlds, and the last level of every world is like a boss. So yeah, the level is in fact the boss itself. So this is it, Metalhead. I'm trying to get some items. I'm not doing a good job here, and these bubbles, they cannot be destroyed or anything, but I'm just going to ignore them and try to take this guy out as fast as I can. Although sometimes the bubbles can get in this circular cycle where it cannot actually find your target, so it's never going to hit you. All right, off to World 2. This is the Ice World. Water in here is deadly. It'll take away a lot of your health, so we try to avoid it as much as possible, while also trying to avoid everything else. I'm going to take it slow here because I know I'm going to need some items here. Even have some falling icicles coming down to avoid. Whoop. That is one tricky icicle there. If you jump too late, you'll hit it. Here we have the boss of this place. He's kind of annoying, especially when you have a short spear, since he's going back and forth and over the water sometimes that you don't want to be in. So I'll sometimes shoot him a couple times to get him into a freezing state. Bosses take quite a few hits to freeze. Enemies just usually take 1. All right, there we go. There we go. All right, our first dedicated vertical stage, which is downward this time, so jump doesn't really matter here. What matters is mostly trying to keep a descent as much as possible. Whoop. This boss is perhaps the most annoying in the game, since, as you can see, he moves very erratically, goes pretty much wherever he wants, and does almost everything in his power to avoid you when you're attacking him, and when you're not, he's going to just make a beeline for you at the worst times. So I'm trying to mix up, trying to freeze him and spear him so I can get as much damage as possible. And as I said, with a short spear, it's very difficult. Dang it. Getting him as low as possible, or so I don't have to jump on top of him, is good. Okay, I better start freezing him for good now because I am going to die in 2 more hits. And typically, the more damage you do to a boss, the less shots it takes to freeze. So we're good there. Our next boss stage. This is a little bit. This isn't as quick as Metalhead, but we can run here. You double tap to run, and we're gonna start killing a few enemies here to get. That's not good. That's red medicine. That actually damages you. But we're gonna try to get a couple of. We're gonna try to get a couple of items here to. Oh, I'm not getting it. Another reason why I have to kill these is so I don't despawn this one up here, which helps us do a little clip. Come on. Yes, there we go. That is perhaps the only clip in the game, but it saves a lot of time because that is a long horizontal hallway you have to go all the way through with a bunch of turrets and then walk all the way back to get to the boss. And that one enemy, and as I said, I had to take out other enemies, otherwise that turret would despawn and it wouldn't be there. Now we're in the mines. This is like one of my favorite stages. I like this cave stage. Casually playing. It's got one of my favorite bosses. Some of these enemies, like those faces, they drop weapons, but weapons, we don't really have any use for them, and now I'm actually getting some spear. Oh, a shield. Okay, shield will become very handy here. Keeps you invincible for about 10 seconds. And I got another one. I hope I'm that lucky on a later stage where I have to be, which is another vertical stage going up, where enemies spawn above you, and if you don't know where they are, you will just take damage a bunch. So these are enemies that drop bombs for you. Casually, it's nice to have weapons around that can be helpful for bosses. In terms of speedrun, they're usually ignored. But although, to be safe, later on I will be going to a secret level that gives me a lot of weapons, and I am struggling to climb up this chasm. I don't know. Okay, we're gonna take this safe route. Yes, we have an egg for a boss. Deal with it. Takes 7 shots to stun, so I usually count that. Those turrets around him, those waves can do a lot of damage to you. Jumped a little bit short there. Getting through these turrets is a little bit annoying, but and we have falling rocks here. Sorry, this isn't Mario 64, so we don't watch for them. I can't believe I did that. All right, so jumped a little short there, but that's okay. Made it back up. So some of the bosses are aliens, like the one we faced in that submarine. This is also an alien boss. He comes out of an egg. And yeah, his mechanic is as you damage him, he goes up. Otherwise, he goes back down into his little hole where it's very difficult to get him back out of. And he just unfroze there for a minute, so I'm gonna wait for him to come back down some, freeze him again. Finish him off. Okay, we're at the cliffs, which is the worst stage in the game, which I just said has a lot of vertical stuff going on. If we can get a shield, we can pretty much skip most of it. I got a jump power up there. That would be very helpful. Oops. Enemies do spawn above you, and they sometimes spawn. Oh man, I could have used that. get as much jump as I can, make this relatively easy. I'm actually doing good in terms of health because this boss isn't like difficult, but he does have 2 turrets around him, which can be annoying, and he takes a lot of shots to freeze, but he only takes about a few spear hits to actually kill. Yeah. There we go. Okay, this stage is literally just a tank. This boss also doesn't take a lot of hits to stun even with full health, and it's not good to get him, it's not good to freeze him in that small space since you can't jump on top of him and maximize the damage with the spear. Okay, so coming up in this next stage, there is a secret room at the very beginning where I can fully power up if I need to, and it's right here. There are a few of these secret stages. They have jump, spear, and this one has wave power-ups, wave weapon power-ups, which is really helpful. And I switch to the weapon now so I can have it ready. This one is not as brutal as the cliffs. It's actually a lot of fun. I love this song as well. Now we're off to the boss that is RNG Nightmare, since he warps everywhere, basically wherever he wants, even off screen where he's completely invisible. And if you freeze him in the wall, you cannot damage him. Just like I did there. Don't do that. We're going to have another boss just like this one later, but doesn't have to deal with being inside walls. All right. Lots of boomerang enemies here. I'm going to drop down like that because the lower the screen is, the boss actually spawns in better, sooner, which can be helpful. And this boss drops red potions a bunch, which I have 8. I technically start with 8 health, and there is a way you can dodge it just like this. Funnily enough, even though it's poison, you do actually get points for grabbing the red medicine. But that was it. That wasn't too bad. Next is Mothership. Very short stage, but very easy to die on if you're not careful. With these short jumps, if you hit those green things, you will take damage and get knocked back. And this is just a matter of freezing and stabbing, and we're off. We're almost going to be to the final stages and world of the game. And just for future reference, we're not quite there yet, but timing will stop on the final when the final boss is completely gone and defeated. So the mothership has been blown up, and we are now falling down. And if we just stay over to the right side of the screen, none of these rocks that we're passing up will hit us. When we get to the bottom, it can be a bit of a different story since we have all these different things warping around us, and we want to kill most of all of them. There we go. Oh, nice sprite. So this is what happens if you happen to freeze them in the middle of their warp. And when that happens, they usually warp twice in a row very quickly. This one has a lot more health than the other one we fought, so it's going to be quite the long haul for this one. I usually like getting under them so I can not have to worry about jumping on top of them. All right, final stage coming up. Has probably the freakiest music and probably the freakiest boss I've ever seen. I'll mention the joke later. All right, vehicles. We never really bothered to do vehicles in this run because they're not really needed, but that vehicle can give you a super jump with a special move, and we have some hovercraft here that we're gonna use to get to the next platforms. Then we're gonna get out of them. These are actually slow to be in. These are helpful in the low percent category because they actually protect you from damage. So, yeah, I use them a lot in the low percent category because, like, why wouldn't you? You need to protect yourself. You need to get to places that you can, because in low percent you don't get any power-ups on purpose, and so you're not going to be jumping very high. Not doing it right. There we go. We'll get one more wave here while we're waiting for the hovercraft to come down. All right, the boss is coming up. So Metroid might have the mother brain, but I believe that an appropriate name for this would be the father brain because it is a massive brain and it is quite ugly. Nightmare fuel if you're a kid. So we're going to take out these are not necessary to take out to defeat the boss, but it is helpful because these things that shoot bubbles just are relentless in how they shoot them, and they are not destructible, just like Metalhead. So we're going to take out take out these turrets as much as we can. Try to get these bubbles off screen. That's the final boss. That's the boss right there. We're going to take out this one arm, and then we're going to have free access to the final boss. Let's see. There's a sweet spot you can get in where you can damage him, and he cannot hit you at all, and we just found it. So we're just going to keep stabbing until we actually kill him, and timing will stop when he is destroyed. I've never actually counted how many times I need to stab him, but... Time! All right, and that's Low G-Man for you, yeah. Really obscure game, but one I basically grew up with and always had a fun time playing, and decided just to run it one day out of nowhere, and yeah, it's very fun. The world record for this game is much lower. It's like 12 minutes. It's crazy low. Yeah, 12 minutes by his name is like Zaki the Kirin. He does a lot of retro stuff, a lot of obscure stuff too. So it's not surprising that he's on top. But yeah, his world record is actually one that goes all the way back to what's it? SDA. So his record, the video is actually on SDA. It's not on YouTube. That's how old it is. So yeah, that world record has stood for quite a while. So yeah, so we get a nice cutscene here for the ending. There's actually 2 more quests. We're not going to play them, but that you can play through, and they just make the enemies a bit more hard. The enemies a bit harder, have more health, and that includes for the bosses as well. That's real trouble for the final boss because taking out those things that shoot bubbles, that'll just take forever with those. And I tried it once. Wasn't so much fun, but I did try it once. Other than that, special shout-outs to BSB. Thanks for having me. Thanks for, it's been a fun time. This is the first time I've run this game, and I got to run 2 games today, and was really happy about it. I hope everyone watching enjoyed it, and didn't really, like 2,000 raised at this event. Gosh, that's a lot. Thanks to you all, and thanks everyone who watched, either here in person or on the stream. Yeah, have fun, and good luck to the next runner.
All right, BlazingRaven, thank you so much for that Low G-Man run. That was... a lot of people in chat said they had some memories with this one, so you're not alone. To me, it was one that I'd never seen before, but it was definitely one that I'm glad you brought in and shared with us. Thank you so much.